Shalom, brothers. It is a lovely morning here at the UNC-G campus, and today it is literally 1984. I've been reading this book. I gotta tell you, I really love it. I love first-person novels. It's quite obvious that Winston is the first-person self-insert character for George Orwell. That's obvious. I really hate Julia. I think she's a terrible character. I think that she's included in the book because George Orwell wanted a, self-insert, like a self-insert love interest for this beautiful young woman who falls in love with Winston, a lamentable chud. So, I don't like Julia. I think it's kind of dumb. I also think it's really a shame that the martyrdom that they seek is sexual in a way. But think about it, if you're from an atheist materialistic point of view, the idea that for us the highest spiritual good is, I suppose, martyrdom, to lay one's life down for his friends. And I guess from a material perspective, if you only believe in material things, the highest material good is the sexual act. So it makes sense from his perspective, don't get me wrong. I still think Julia is a terrible character. Nonetheless, great book. It's really profound. I wish the people who say it's profound actually read it. I read it once when I was a kid. I was 14. But that was loud. Anyway, but there's a really interesting part of the book where he finds Goldstein's book, handed to him by the Brotherhood. Whether they're, actually a real rebellion movement, probably not. If I remember correctly, spoiler alert, plot twist, they're not real. They're fabricated by the party, as Julia suspected. So, rare occasion of Julia saying something intelligent. But let me find where it was. This is a really interesting part of the book. I might cut this part out while I'm looking for it. I just want you to know that my going through this book was interrupted by a man in a cowboy hat nearly falling off a ledge while saying, "Lord have mercy." So that brightened my day. He was dressed like Woody from Toy Story. But anyway, I'm still looking for it. I'll find it. I believe I found the part. The essential act of war is destruction, not necessarily of human lives, but of the products of human labor. War is a way of shattering to pieces or pouring into the stratosphere or sinking into the depths of the sea materials which otherwise would be used to make the masses too comfortable and hence, in the long run, too intelligent. He basically is going over how the party is in a state of constant war so that the people don't get to a certain level of wealth. George Orwell wrote this as a prediction of the future. It wasn't hypothetical. And as he was writing this, he basically creates a world in which the government is totalitarian and controls us by pain. What's interesting, though, is what actually happened was the opposite reality that he had predicted, which was that the infinite wealth, which, okay, we don't have infinite wealth, but for all intents and purposes, we sort of live in this mouse utopia, the mid-20th century experiment where they gave mice infinite food and water, and if there were sick mice, they were killed. That simulated healthcare. And what ended up happening is they became very androgynous. The female mice became more masculine. The male mice became more feminine. They stopped reproducing, and those who tried to reproduce were then killed by those who didn't. And this is a bit similar with the demographic crisis we're facing, but the reality is we entered the other scenario George Orwell was talking about, where we receive basically infinite pleasures. And that's created the opposite effect. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a better timeline than a world of, pain. But it's interesting that infinite wealth and infinite literacy, given the internet, has not created utopia. So I think we should all ponder on that one.